Gabe, you were there. You were at AmFam Field last night.
Mm-hmm.
Take me through. What are we seeing? How's it feeling? What was the vibe at the ballpark as Jacob Misiorowski made his major league debut and then turned in a hell of an outing? 5 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, which, by the way, is the important part. Few walks, maybe a few more walks than we would have liked to have seen.
So it started with, I'm very excited to go to the game. Very excited. Myself, Eric Name, we went. His buddy gave us the tickets, so we were 14 rows behind home plate, like right on the aisle, right behind, like a great angle to see how much this stuff moved. So I was really excited. It was a little too easy to get into the ballpark, so I was a little sad there because it's like, oh, and ultimately the number was 27,000 people that were there, so that was a little disappointing for his debut. But the 27,000 that were there was you could feel the energy and the buzz. Like, cannot wait for this game to start. And his first 3 pitches were 100, 101, 101.
That's heat.
First 3 pitches. He eventually hit 102 with pitch number 5. So he was just, it was, and sitting where we were, like seeing how all these pitches moved, it was just outrageous and so much fun. So much fun to see somebody who you have all of this expectation for come in and meet those expectations in his first outing. He becomes the 9th pitcher since 1901 and the first in franchise history to make his MLB debut and throw at least 5 no-hit innings.
Really remarkable. And frankly, he didn't even know he had a no-hitter going. I mean, that's how locked in he is on the strike zone, guys. He said he thought one of the pop-ups had hit the ground, had landed. I'm sorry. Yes, had landed.
It was. This kid's the real deal. Now, there's some refinement, certainly, that needs to happen. And I think that the Brewers coaching staff is certainly up for that. They've done a great job bringing people outside of the organization in and getting the most out of them. So Chris Hook, who's their pitching coach, I think is going to tighten those things up. Jen, you mentioned the 4 walks. Yeah, got to tighten that up, certainly.
5 strikeouts, though.
Yeah, that's right where you want to be. Right where you want to be.
Now, we want to give the update. He did leave the game with cramping. He had the no-hitter going. There was a thought, I think, in fact, hadn't he thrown 3 straight balls?
Yeah,
and they were
start that inning, yeah.
All right, let's get him out of there. We don't need to keep running this experiment. We know what we know.
Well, he threw the 3 straight balls, and then he awkwardly rolled his ankle walking back up the mound. So we did not catch that initially. So now we're like, oh, crap, what's happening? Oh, crap, why is because it wasn't just the trainer that came out. Pat Murphy came out, and another member of the staff came out. Like, they had 3 different representatives who were not playing in the game out in the field to check him out. And it turns out it was cramping. Like, everybody thought...
Where?
In his leg.
Right calf and quad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right leg. So I think it was just one of those situations of, okay, let's just get you out there. Because, his leg was cramping, so that's why he kind of rolled his ankle. And he said, he was embarrassed because he rolled his ankle. Doesn't look like the most athletic thing when you're just standing on the mound, you roll the ankle. But it looks like everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. But there was a, 2 or 3 minute period there where we were locked into our phones hoping somebody could give us some sort of update on what the hell just happened.
Well, and I kept saying, is anybody up in the bullpen? Is anybody up in the bullpen? And then I don't think they had anybody going to start the inning, did they? Did they have anybody up?
Somebody was starting to get loose, but again, when somebody leaves with an injury like that, you get as much time as you need because they recognize they don't want to rush you in and injure you because you're not loose, and now you have to throw to major league hitters. So there was
Nick
a little
Mears
bit of
came in out of the pen.
Little bit of an extended pause in the game for Nick Mears.
So what I was saying to the guys this morning is, as excited as I have been, and I told you guys, I dropped $100 on the Brewers to win the division at the beginning of the year, plus 425. Now, that has shifted significantly over at 𝘃𝑝otawatomi Sportsbook, our friends over at 𝘃𝑝otawatomi. I think you guys said this morning it's at plus 1,000 now for the Brewers to win the division. I feel, look at Josh, he's like, if you were happy about plus 425.
Boy, do I got a deal for you.
Double down.
I might do just that. But now I have so much more optimism about this team. That's how much I feel one player at this position with this type of electric stuff, even given the learning curve that a rookie pitcher is going to experience in the majors. I feel so much more confident about where this team is and really feel like this will be a dog race between them and the Cubs. What are they, 5 games back right now?
5.5.
It feels significant right now, but it feels like this is a guy who, if he goes out there, quality start with a win, quality start with a win, quality start with a win, heck, we might be talking about a Rookie of the Year candidate here in Jacob Misiorowski. And I know it's 1 start, and I know it's 5 innings. But if you talk about what the Brewers have done, and this is where I think I really want to be clear, they have such a good developmental coaching staff, guys that can see what needs to be tinkered with, see what needs to be retooled, Gabe. I feel pretty confident that this guy could be the reason they win the division this year.
He threw 14 pitches at 100+ last night. So baseball has been tracking pitches since 2008, like archiving him and, how hard you're throwing, spin rates, all that sort of thing. So entering the game last night, all Brewers starters since 2008, every single Brewers pitcher would ever started a game, they had 8 pitches, 100+ since 2008 out of their starting pitching. And he threw 14 alone in the game.
There's a couple pieces of audio from the broadcast on 620 WTMJ I want us to hear. They're just unique things that you don't hear often or really ever before when it comes to the Brewers. I'm going to play this first one here.
Miserowski's 0-1. Swing and a miss. That was off speed, and it's 0-2. And I say off speed at 96.
It's pretty good, Josh. It's pretty good.
How many pitches does he have?
Well, so that was the other fun part because I know it's been a minute since you've been to the ballpark, big guy, but outside of the large scoreboard, they have like a secondary scoreboard where they put like, oh, here's what the pitch was, here how fast it was, and they put the pitch sequence for that batter up. They had no idea. Yeah. They had no idea what to do because like there were pitches, again, where I was sitting like, okay, they just called that a cutter. I don't think that was a cutter, right? And then they called one a sinker when it was a changeup. He threw a changeup that had 17 inches of run.
Whoa.
And when I saw the highlights on social media after I got home, BA was back on the TV call, and he just went, oh, wow. Like, just, what are you supposed to do with that? The batter just kind of flailed at it. The stuff's electric.
He's got, is it 3 main pitches with the cutter, sinker, changeup?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it was pretty clear they weren't totally sure what was going on throughout the broadcast.
No, StatCast had no idea. They had no idea. Because, they would call, they called 96. They just didn't know what to do with it.
I was literally watching on TV trying to read movements and going, what pitch could that be based on the velocity and all the other things involved. I want to play another thing here from the broadcast as well.
0-1 to Nootbaar. He's swinging a miss. That's strike 2, and that one was at 102. You think he's feeling it tonight? You bet he is.
Was he feeling it, or is that just what he does?
It's just what he does. It's what he does.
He seemed pretty composed on the mound as well.
Totally.
Like, I didn't feel like, oh, this is a young kid who's like totally rearing back and like totally jacked up. It was like, it seems pretty routine. And maybe that's the way he throws the ball. But it doesn't seem like he was overexerting himself.
No, and that's, I think, it's like easy, right? Like it's an easy motion, and that's where I think there's a lot of hope. It doesn't feel like he's, like when you see Aroldis Chapman throw, like he's somebody who's gotten into triple digits. I mean, he's a closer, obviously. But you could tell he is just rearing back and throwing absolutely as hard as he can. And I'm sure Miserowski is as well, but it just doesn't look like.
Looks natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just looks like it's a natural motion.
Chew, what do you want to see from the kid in order to get you excited about this addition to the Brewers roster?
During the regular season, just do what he does. Yeah, he looks the part. Get Woodruff back. That's a pretty good starting rotation.
Well, then you add
to make the push.
If you add, Quinn Priester's been so good as well. Like when you figure that, okay, maybe Woody's the 4 or 5, and then Nestor Cortez is the other one in the back part of that rotation. Like this rotation, if he is going to be this good,
then you got to start thinking
easily the best in the division. Easily the best in the division.
Yeah. Then you start talking trade deadline, and where do they need to fill holes?
And if they're buyers at the deadline, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, you need more bats.
I think you buy.
Yeah, you got to hope you can find a bat somewhere.
Yeah.
And hopefully that bat plays on the left side of the infield.
Yeah. Then I like their positioning. I told you guys before the season started, I trust this front office the most out of any professional sports in Wisconsin. And it's coming to fruition, isn't it? I mean, no one's ever heard of this kid. Well, maybe diehards.
He's the 21st ranked prospect in all of baseball.
Great.
You'd think you would. Come on, you can't appreciate.
Where would I find that? Where would I find
Baseball America?
Yeah, I don't have that website.
Well, if you type it in right now, you can have that website.
I guarantee.
But to be fair, last year there was talk of him coming up and joining the bullpen, and there were people who were very excited about that possibility. It ultimately didn't happen. So from a Brewers fan standpoint, there has been tittering about this guy for a while.
For diehards. For diehards would know. I am not a diehard. I'm very casual. But now I know. So now I get a little excited.
He is. He has been
well,
one
it
of the
doesn't help
more.
when my wife walks by and goes, "How does anyone watch this sport?" Like, okay, we'll put it on Netflix.
She does that when you watch Seinfeld. It hasn't stopped you from
That's
watching
fair.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, but that's more degrading.
I want to
That
be
one was
very
more of a
clear.
question.
I want to be very clear. You forgot, didn't you? You forgot. We did the whole show yesterday talking about Miserowski making his major league debut. We did the memorable first. We did the list of all of the guys making their debuts. You forgot that he was making his major league debut last night, didn't you?
Because I was locked into the Open.
Golf, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's 6:40. And I think I picked it up in the second inning and watched from there until my wife got home, and then I was forced to change it.
I really want to do an over-under of how many innings that was, you guys. I really do. I feel like
we could be
2.5.
pitchers.
I mean, in fair, like those first 3 innings cruised by, so he could have got 2 innings.
Well, I
in.
can tell you this. I didn't watch him bat. I just
Brewers?
watched him pitch.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold.
What?
There's been some pretty significant changes to baseball in recent memory.
Yes.
Pitch clock being one of them, banning of the shift, an increased size in the bases. What other significant change has gone that has made both leagues like one another?
The DH. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you under the impression that he might be swinging the bat there?
No, not at all. But I did just think about it. I'm like, I kind of like to see him bat at 6'7".
Well, so here's the thing. Like, I know by watching all the highlights that I've watched, like, he's pretty thin. And you see that he's 6'7", 197, so he's under 200 pounds. And then you see him on that mound, you're like, oh, there's nothing to this kid. He is just all arms and legs coming right at you.
Can we use the word?
Lerp?
Don't say dainty.
I was going to say the D word.
No.
Oh.
Don't you say it.
No, he's not dainty.
No.
I mean, 6'7" and what?
Less than 200 pounds.
I know, but
Somebody get that man a sandwich.
I keep going back to Chris Sale. That's exact. I mean, was he 6'7"? He's not that tall, but Chris Sale is long.
He's
a
all
tall
arms and
drink.
legs, yeah.
All
I
arms
don't
and
know
legs
if you
coming
wanna
at you
put
from the
weight
mound.
on the kid, though. I don't think you do. You want him wiry,
There's
right?
Yes, there's been plenty of successful pitchers who.
I mean, Randy Johnson wasn't thick.
No, so Chris Sale is 6'6", 180.
Whoa.
Yeah.
180?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. What was Randy Johnson? He's 6'9".
So Randy was 6'10".
He feels a little heftier.
Yeah, a little thicker.
Hold on. Why don't you?
Of course, the mustache weighed about 3 pounds.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
It's 6'10", 225.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right,
He's up over.
he's a little beefier.
We got reaction rolling in to Jacob Misiorowski's MLB debut last night at AmFam Field. Gabe was there. Frankie says, look, I get the excitement, but I need some good, consistent offense from this team. They've always had great pitchers, so pitching just doesn't do it for me.
It's funny because for years, that's the one thing they couldn't do. Like, you're doing the paper trail right now, Jen, in that era of Brewers when they had Prince and Braun and Weeks.
Yeah.
And all they had coming up through the system were position players. They couldn't develop a pitcher to save their life, which is why they had to go get CC Sabathia and Zach Greinke and some of the other, Randy Wolf and Dave Bush and all these other guys that were stalwarts of those late 2000s, early 2010s teams. And now all they have coming through seems like they've just got great arm after great arm.
Did they put him on the 10-day or anything like that?
No, he's
Nothing.
good. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good to go?
He's good to go. He said, again, he felt a little embarrassed about rolling his ankle.
Yeah.
But he said the ankle is fine, leg's fine, he's good to go.
It looked pretty unathletic.
It wasn't.
Watching it back.
It is
Again, I
baseball.
understand why he's embarrassed, you know?
To be fair, though, if we believe the cramping thing, it would make sense that your leg isn't working the way
Yep.
you would like it to.
Like when you fall asleep, your leg falls asleep and you stand up and you're like, whoa.
Now put a pitcher's mound behind you as you're trying to walk up it.
Even this guy would struggle with that situation. 6-0 was the score, obviously beating the Cardinals last night. Colin says, great debut, but too many fastballs go through the middle of the zone. Guy needs to paint the corners. Gabe, when it's going 103 through the middle of the zone, now, sure, somebody might get a hold of it. They might, but it's
No,
going to
you have
go.
to, again, it's part of the refinement process that he has, right? Like, yeah, you got to stay out of middle because guys can still do damage with that at the major league level, even at that velocity. They'll get on you, but
It's certainly better to throw it 101 than 92 there.
Through the middle of the zone.
Right. So he's got a little protection, but there's probably going to be some big home runs we see throughout his career.
Let me ask you this. Is there a difference between 95 and 101?
yes,
A lot.
significant.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Huh.
You want to test it?
No, I'm just thinking going 101 in a car in 95 is like, But it's
Well,
a little...
none of us know that, okay? None of the people on this panel
that's physics.
have ever crossed that 100 mile per hour threshold. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, says Chef Ed. Cubs are way more balanced. Our offense is too inconsistent. Get us your reaction to Jacob Misiorowski's MLB debut at AmFam Field last night. Brewers get the win 6-0 over the Cardinals, and he was electric.